Everyone sees the brand.
but nobody sees the bills.
I'm Cindy.
And I'm Justin. And this is The Matrix Method.
All right. Welcome back to the Matrix Method. I am Cindy Keys. Justin Parchment is still enjoying his week off with his son. They are at like a Cub Scout camp. So that's what the summer is about, right? Spending time with your family. And that's why we do what we do, is so we have that flexibility to be able to do that.
Exactly.
But I am very excited to have Zanoli from Founded by Z on the show. And why I wanted her on with me today is because I think it was 5 days ago, the new bemotrizinol was just approved by the FDA. It's a UV sun filter. And for us being in this industry for a very long time, we're always on the product side. And so there's a lot. I've been through this several times when our product or new sunscreen gets approved by the FDA, and we're all excited because now it's like go time. And now we are kind of on the independent side. And so I thought it would be really great to have Zanoli back on the show to really talk about this new technology or this new filter. What does this mean for sun care overall? And how does it compare to some of the other stuff that's on the market, and what we can expect from companies? Because there's going to be a lot of marketing from brands and companies. And so what does that mean for us as the consumer? Do we just toss out everything we bought and jump on the bandwagon? Or how do we incorporate these new innovations that come out? So welcome, Zanoli.
Cute. So good to be back, Cindy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, why don't you give a brief overview of, how things have changed and what have you been up to since our last episode?
I've eaten a lot more candy. We can start there. No, seriously though, this is cause for huge celebrations, right? Back in the 2020, so during COVID, there was this huge overhaul of how the FDA approves sunscreen ingredients. And so when bemotrizinol or BEMT, we'll start calling it that, came to fruition, they actually started this process back in 2024. And because of this new overhaul, it got approved quite quickly. What makes this exciting is it's fun, a lot more stable than some of the other sunscreen ingredients on the market. 2, something we need to remember is this is still what I like to call an organic sunscreen. You might call it a chemical. Organic means healthy. It's not like the food. Organic means that there's a molecule of carbon in there, right? So it joins those chemical sunscreen ingredients. 3, what makes this even better is it's the first chemical or organic ingredient safe for babies at 6 months and above. So yay. So it's not just the zinc and titanium anymore. It is extremely photostable. Avobenzone isn't, and yes, we can chat about that one in a minute. So this one is a lot more stable and can actually make avobenzone more stable. So should we replace? No. But if your sunscreen has avobenzone, when this one is out and about, absolutely. I would upgrade to have this one, and it will probably be included in those avobenzone sunscreens. So the company is called DSM Firmenich. They are the only exclusive company that can sell it for the next 18 months. The first ingredient probably since 1999. Huge thing. And I think you and I chatted about it. Let's put this in perspective. It's when the movie The Matrix came out. Shocking.
Wow.
And so what also makes it amazing is not only is it more photostable, it's a very true broad spectrum sunscreen. Most of these organics either are good at UVA or good at UVB. It doesn't mean they don't cross over, but this one is a true blend of that UVA, UVB. So it's phenomenal at that. It is photostable. It is meaning, and when I say photostable, it doesn't break down as quickly in the sun, which is when you need it to kind of work properly. And it also rarely irritates. The FDA actually calls it a very low irritation level, which again is good. The final one, because we are going to probably speak about avobenzone and a couple of the others in a minute, is it doesn't absorb as easily into the skin. Meaning, there was all of those problems. Oh my gosh, it's getting in the brain and things. The molecules are too big. So they don't absorb into the skin. And so it's a lot, quote unquote, safer in that aspect. Not that the others aren't safe and aren't good, but because of that whole scare, this one is a lot less likely to absorb deeply into the skin.
So just to clarify, like when we talk about chemical
Yes,
sunscreen, those are filters that are absorbed into the skin. So it absorbs the rays before it goes to the deeper levels, right? And then the
correct.
mineral ones are actually reflecting the rays away from. Is that how it works?
In theory, yes, but with one tiny caveat. The mineral sunscreens absorb as well.
Okay.
So they both absorb, but in addition, the mineral ones reflect away. And when I say absorb, they absorb the rays themselves. But those chemical or organic ingredients were also being absorbed a little too effectively in some cases into the skin, which wasn't ideal. It's supposed to sit more on the surface and prevent those rays causing damage to our skin and in essence, causing that UVA and UVB damage of aging and burn and cancer and stuff.
Okay.
So you're right.
And I know for most people in this industry, we're very clear on the different types of UVA, UVB, and UVC. So can you kind of give a brief overview for maybe somebody who doesn't understand the difference?
Yeah. So each of the rays have like different lengths, and some of them look really short and sharp. Those are the UVB and they burn. So they mainly work shallow in the skin, whereas the longer ones that are UVA, because they're longer, can actually penetrate through the skin a lot deeper, causing damage and aging. Now, don't get me wrong, UVB, which burns, can also cause damage and aging, but we really focus, and that's what your SPF number is how long you can use it before the skin starts to burn, which is a problem. And then those UVA, the longer ones, go deeper, causing a lot more damage deeper in the skin. So because this is both UVA aging and UV burning ray kind of protectant, it's a really great option for us now for the future.
Okay. And then UVC is pretty much absorbed by the ozone. Like that shouldn't even come in.
Fingers crossed, yes. Yes, and so we don't really have a sunscreen that truly protects against that. All our antioxidants and things, in theory, should help us. And yes, it's supposed to be good old little atmosphere, prevent it from getting to us. Yeah.
And what about on the light spectrum when it comes to the infrared and red light? Because then those are good light
Yes.
waves, right?
Yes.
That we want into our skin.
Correct. So infrared is a different spectrum to ultraviolet. So that's what the IR stands for versus UV. And infrared A is the quote unquote more damaging one, but that heat is good for us, which comes from our lights that we use. So the ultraviolet spectrum is slightly different to that infrared spectrum, and there's still antioxidants and things if it's going to be damaging to the skin. There are certain antioxidants that can protect us from those rays. So you can carry on with all your infrareds and your lamps and your warmings and things. You're absolutely fine.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And then what about the SPF number? So I learned a while ago, like how to calculate the SPF number because it varies depending on the color of your natural skin color.
Yes, because of melanin. Melanin is actually a natural sun protection factor. So us that are Skin Fitzpatrick 1, I don't really like saying that because I think it's so outdated, but I'm a pretty pasty white human. So the chances of me getting skin cancer are a lot higher, right? I don't have enough melanin or dark color in my skin to really help that protection. So I really need to be on top of my sunscreen protection all the time. The darker your skin, the higher your melanin, which is a natural antioxidant that can help. It doesn't mean that if you have a darker skin, don't wear a sunscreen. Eek. Still wear one because there's other damages, the heat, etc., right? But there's a whole kind of sum that you can use, and it's to do with before you put sunscreen on, how quickly does your skin go pink and start to burn? And you take that number. For me, it's probably 3 little minutes. For you, it's probably a little longer, and the darker your skin, the longer it takes, right? So you take whatever that is and multiply it by that SPF number, and you'll get how long you can stay in the sun. I don't really like that. I don't like to look at that because did you apply enough? Did you apply it thoroughly? Was there water involved? How much are you touching your skin? So I just go slather it on, and within a 2-hour period, reapply. I don't care who you are, or, you could be pink or purple, reapply, protect yourself, because it also helps with the pollution and all the other damage that is out there. And I would probably even say, especially with these organic or chemical sunscreen ingredients, at least 13 minutes before you're going into the sun. Don't get in the sun and go, sunscreen time. Probably too late. I mean, better than not at all. But do it in the house before you actually leave the house would be my best. More is better. People ask me all the time, why do you look younger? Well, obviously I'm in the industry, but it's also sunscreen has really saved my little behind a lot.
Yeah, I see a lot, especially right now we're in summer. And so you see a lot of people kind of, once they settle on the beach, that's when they start applying the sunscreen and they're using the sprays, which kind of just get all over everywhere else, not on the person. And then they jump right into the water. That's not effective, right?
Not at all. And the spray, I mean, I love it because it's a quick dry, but the wind is taking it away. My lungs are probably getting more than my actual skin. So yeah, definitely do it in the house. Spray closer, rub it in, make sure you're getting it everywhere, then leave. And I'd probably, not that this is a thing, but test when they do the testing, ask the companies that you're purchasing the sunscreen from, when did they test waterproof? Is it 30 minutes later? Is it an hour later? So that you know when to apply it before you go hopping in. And also, how long can you stay in the water? There's active and regular, right? And so you'll need to come back out and reapply a little more often. Did you apply the towel? Did you wrap something off? Did you put on a t-shirt? All those things play a huge role as well. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize the sprays that you still have to rub them in, right? They just kind of spray and think that's enough, but it's like you spray is more the an application technique, and then you
Yeah.
still have to rub it in. Yeah,
And because that application is a lot lighter, because people hate the greasiness. Oh my gosh, it causes acne sometimes. And with a kid, you can grab an arm and quickly spray, and it's a quicker and a less painful thing for them. But, to me personally, it's not the most ideal, but it is still better than nothing. But yes, please rub it in. Please try and blend it rather than just 1, 2, 3 spray and throw the kid in the water type thing.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to BMT, because it's a
Yeah.
very hard ingredient to say.
BMO is what I'm going to coin
BMO.
and say, let's call it BMO.
I love that. I love that. All right. So Europe and Asia have had this ingredient since 1999. How do you address client concerns about safety when something is new to the US but actually has decades of track record abroad?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we come from the skincare side, and to us, it's exciting because we know the history of like most of these filters. It's not like some brand new thing that they
No,
just came
no.
up with, right?
It's got a lot of studies behind it already. And actually, DSM tried to get this approved in the US in 2005. So, but because of our back then not so great process, they kind of quote unquote gave up type thing. But in Europe and especially in Australia, at one point the ozone was a little tougher there. Kids they can't go and play outside if they're not in protective clothing and not bringing a sunscreen to school, right? So in those countries in particular, they've really done good studies. So even though it's new to the US, it's not new to the industry. And companies like L'Oreal, which everyone knows, has been using this in Europe for a long time already, and actually La Roche-Posay and their Anthelios has actually been using this in Europe for a lot longer than, so it's new to the US, but it's not new. And so definitely feel rest assured there are quite a few studies and safety studies, and especially the fact that it's low irritation, doesn't absorb, is a lot more photostable, can really help you stay rest assured. And it's coming to the US. It doesn't mean in a full formula, it's not going to get retested, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the companies here still have to, if they're going to buy it and use it, and that's why the first one will probably hit the market at the end of this year is my guess. They're still going to have to do some studies, prove the SPF again, all those things. Only using American ingredients, if I can put it that way, meaning our approved ones here in the United States. So no, I think we can all rest assured and be really excited that this is one of those that's absolutely a huge benefit. Not that the others aren't, but this one really is amazing.
I remember when I worked at La Roche-Posay and, Anthelios is a very popular sunscreen, but we had to have the US version because we had to use only US approved. And even when that formula got approved, it was very exciting for us. And
Very.
something that I think a lot of people don't realize is the FDA doesn't approve filters. They approve the whole ingredient, the whole product, not just
Formula.
an ingredient.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're baking a cake, they have to approve the entire cake and all the percentages and the ingredients. It's not just like everything that's in the cake is approved. It's this whole cake has to be approved, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is you have to not only prove what your SPF is going to be, but how stable, all these things. And in sunscreen testing, you don't just test it once and you're done. You do it a couple of times. Sometimes it's up to 3 times, depending on how stringent the company wants to be. And then they
Mhm.
take an average, not only of those, but also all the people, because one little pasty white like me might throw it off a little more than someone like you, right? So they take the averages of those. So yes, to your point, we don't just take it at face value. Oh, you can use this one up to 6%. So if you're using the full 6%, whoop-de-doo, you're, protecting perfectly. No. How does it work in the formula? It's even boosting the avobenzone. It's stabilizing the avobenzone. So it can actually be hugely beneficial, but it's still going to get tested. The FDA won't just go, sure, let's just approve this little thing because you said so. Absolutely not.
Well, if you think about having this ingredient since 1999 in Europe and Asia, and it's 2026, like does it take so long for us and our FDA to approve things?
So back in the day, it was a hot mess. And, it took very long because there wasn't a sense of urgency. And quietly in 2020, the same company that gave us, most of us, our little checks during COVID, actually went ahead and looked and pre-approved a brand new process so that it could speed up when sunscreens can get approved in the United States. And so this company, DSM, jumped on the bandwagon immediately again. Now they're going to try and reapply for this sunscreen to be approved. And it only took around 18 months. I mean, they went in 2024, and I say only, but it still took a while, but it's 10 times faster because we only, up until 1999, had 16 filters. So this is the first one since 1999, 27 years to get one approved. But it makes me excited, Cindy, because that means now that there's been this overhaul and DSM has now led the way, we'll probably start seeing more applications for more of these ingredients to start coming to the US, and we'll have more options, especially for babies at 6 months and above. Not that your baby should be tanning away in the sun, but if you wanted to go on a nice stroll and watch, some plants and stuff, then and take your dog for a walk, little one's going to be safe as well.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's ridiculous. And this whole
Yeah.
new system fast tracks things a lot more effectively and efficiently. And something else, to go back to your safety, that just dawned on me. Sorry, the brain is a little foggy. Is when something's approved in the US, it's normally under something called GRAS, GRAS. This is GRACE, GRASE. And what that stands for is generally recognized as safe, was GRAS. But this one has an E added, which means generally recognized as safe and effective, which is huge.
Mm. So we should expect that now that there's an overhaul in the way that the FDA approves, we should see a lot more products, hopefully, that
Yes.
have been very popular in Europe and Asia now finally coming to the US.
So I mentioned that we had 16 and now we have 17. Europe has 30.
Wow.
30. So they have a lot more options, right? We've only had 16 and, there's been this connotation of chemical is bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, water is a chemical and I don't want to jump on the soapbox here. But we've been really limited and some people can't handle those organic sunscreens. And so they've been relying on the mineral, the zinc and titanium. And if you're not aware, it made a lot of us look like a little ghost. And the only time you should be looking like a little ghost is at Halloween. So the fact that this can now be added to the zinc and titanium, it'll make those also blend better because minerals aren't easily blendable and not as efficacious and elegant. So it will lighten that whiteness, but still keep it stable, photoprotective, blend the productivity, and, it's going to be a really good addition to both those organics and inorganics, which is the mineral ones, and make life a little easier. And then, who knows, in the next 18 months, there might be a couple more filters that we can start using. And then those of us, not me, cough, cough, stealing our anthelios from Europe and bringing it home might be, a little better. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
So your whole methodology is education over persuasion, right?
Yes.
So when a generally new ingredient like this hits the market, how should aesthetic professionals educate their clients rather than just hype it?
I'm so excited you asked this. So it's, we have this whole hindrance on us that we're selling and we're not. My whole philosophy, as you said, is it's really that education. And so what that means is if someone understands it, they'll buy it. So hopefully I've helped a little bit today, but it's really you as the provider, the brand, really needs to understand what this can do. But only speak to your accounts and to consumers why it's so amazing. Don't get me wrong, the what it can do, those features are important, but you and I both know that it's all about the benefits and that 80%. So not only what it is, it's a new sunscreen ingredient. Why do I need it? Well, it's more photostable, so when you put it on, you don't have to worry about it breaking down potentially quickly. It's safe for babies at 6 months. It's not going to give you the white cast. It doesn't get absorbed into the skin, so those that were worried about that and all of that whole mess, you can calm down. And it's got a low irritation factor, which a lot of people say, oh my gosh, some of these sunscreen ingredients I can't use because they're irritating. So helping them understand not only are there great safety studies behind this, it's a booster of your other sunscreen ingredients. It's stable, supports those others, and can do all these amazing things. If you truly understand those, my gosh, why wouldn't you want to find this towards the end of the year, like ASAP. So the big focus is, if you don't understand it, you're just going to regurgitate stuff. And
Hmm.
it doesn't come across as authentic, and it makes people have objections because then they don't understand, and then they're going to start asking you questions, and you might go down rabbit holes because you didn't understand. So number one, understand. 2, really focus on those benefits. And 3, find ways to connect their concerns to this so that the outcome is, it's for your baby. Now I know, I heard her or him. It's stable. It's not going to get absorbed. It's not going to make you white. All of those things. Well, then, yeah. 1, just like you asked, where has it been all my life? And 2, when can I start buying it? And trust me, I'm first in line. I'm watching those websites and clicking refresh every 5 seconds to see when it's going to come to market.
That's great. And that philosophy, I think, is beyond just this project, but just overall for any company. It's you can have a great product, you can have great technology, but if you're not educating enough the right way to your customer cannot explain it to their customer, and who is the end consumer.
The one that's buying, and you're also the customer. So you'd better also truly understand what makes it good for you. And, you and I have spoken about this a lot, storytelling. If you don't tell the right story, no use.
So, you know, we're going to see a lot of marketing claims come out from this.
Yes.
From your perspective, what should, you know, professionals and consumers watch out for so they don't fall for these marketing tactics?
Yeah. The overpromising. Stick to the basics, the 4 facts I just gave you. Anything above that, I would ask for proof. So what it can do is support and boost avobenzone. Excellent. What it can do is be more broad spectrum across UVA and UVB. Excellent. And then if it starts to sound even better, I would go back and ask for some proof. Is that legally right to say? Especially because some of us are a little naughty and we go, oh, it stimulates collagen, but in theory, you're not supposed to say that because it helps structure and function. However, we'll keep that between us. But this is a sunscreen, so it's an over-the-counter.
Mhm.
And so it really needs to follow a lot more rules that the FDA has put in place. So anything above that, I would go back and ask for clinical proof and better understanding. Is it this BEMT doing that, or is it other ingredients within the product? And it's okay if it's other ingredients, but don't put those on BEMT if that's not true.
So when the first product with BMT comes out and they have an exclusivity to it, but there's a lot of sunscreens on the market. If you were working for other companies, how would you advise them to fight this? BMT is now the holy grail of sun filters,
Yeah.
right?
So because DMS sells the ingredient, 1, you can go, hey, why haven't you bought it and started using it? Or B, the others aren't bad. They've been around for a very long time. It's just that sometimes some of us can't use them. The younger you are, the more irritation may happen. And sunscreen is also very personal. What I like, you might hate. And a good sunscreen is one you're going to use. So it's not throw the baby and the bathwater out. It's what can the one I have right now do? And then what can this new one do that my old one can't? And is that necessary for me and my skin? So any company can now buy it from DMS. They have exclusive rights, and they're actually calling it, so you know that companies have like a nickname. And so avobenzole has the nickname and trade name of Parasol 1789. Well, they're calling this one Parasol Shield. So if your sunscreens don't have Parasol Shield, it doesn't make them bad. And especially if they're zinc and titanium and you like them, carry on. It's when you start to be concerned about the absorption, concerned because your skin couldn't tolerate the other organic ingredients, concerned about consistency, stability, those types of things. This is an additional option, especially for those like me that are so white and want to stay looking pasty. It keeps me, because I don't want the pigment and all these things, right? And it keeps my skin healthy, so the sunscreen is good. So I will start to weigh up when I see it hit the market. I'll start to look and see these new additional benefits. Is it worth the cost? Because I don't know how much it's going to be yet, because they have sole rights. I don't know if the FDA stops and caps how much they can sell this for to any and all companies, right? So the larger your company, the more likely you can get it. You have better scientists and things that can turn it around quickly, right? But yes, I want it. Of course, I always want the newest on the market. But do the benefits outweigh what I already have right now? Doesn't mean that what I have right now isn't good. But I'll probably get it because I want options and put one on top of the other type thing. But it doesn't mean that the others are bad. It just means look at the options, look at these benefits versus what you have right now. And if these are better, and cross off all your concerns and check off everything that makes you feel safe and want to reapply, use it, because a good sunscreen is one you're going to use, then I would say absolutely get this. For offices in particular, there's an array of patients. This one can't use this, and it's like there's so many excuses as to why not to use a sunscreen. And I'm like, do you want cancer? That's why I'm not in a treatment room anymore. But realistically, it's for those that are more sensitive, for those with the babies, for those that are concerned. So as you do your consults, you'll hear these red flags, and those are what you address. That's when this becomes a good alternative.
So it's almost smart for a company who may have a formulation and they struggle with texture or absorption or whatever overall likability with their existing, and then they can try to maybe use that formula with this ingredient and see if they can turn out something better.
And improve it. It doesn't mean because it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's not what
Hmm.
I'm saying. But yeah, if you constantly having to, especially as a brand or as a provider, handle all these objections that keep coming your way, why would you keep that sunscreen? Because it just sounds like no one wants to use it, right? So having an additional option. I know we can't have 20,000 sunscreens on our shelf, but if the companies you work with right now do bring this out, I personally would at least have one of those options on my shelf. It doesn't mean when in a year or two, 5 more companies have it, you have to have it in every one of them. But at least one so that you do have an option in case you have some patients that need to address their concerns. I do think it's a smart idea, especially with sunscreens, to bring something like this to market. Yeah.
That's great. Do you see this ingredient in being used in like moisturizers and serums, more in the anti-aging products? Do they use that in Europe, in Asia, or is it purely a sunscreen ingredient
It's
or for sunscreen?
Yeah, it's a booster and a photo stability ingredient as well. So maybe with antioxidants, it could help keep, some stability and boosting efficacy. But I'm glad you asked this question, and I know I'm going to get a couple of haters here. However, I don't think your treatment product should be a sunscreen as well, because your treatment product, you might only want to use one pump. Well, that's not enough of the sunscreen. And if you want good protection, you can't have a million other ingredients, because that sunscreen takes up a certain amount of that 100%. And you don't want to skimp on that and someone just, do this because they want to make it last longer because it's a serum. I personally think, yes, it can have a couple of antioxidants and a couple of moisturizing agents. But a sunscreen should really be a separate additional one. Because here's the other thing. You don't want to be reapplying your anti-aging serum halfway through the day on the boat. You just want a good protection. And if you want this to also be water resistant of up to 80 minutes, that also takes up space in the product. So it's an either or for me. And yes, if there's some space, add some anti-aging ingredients. But here's the thing, Cindy, and I know you agree with me. Sunscreen is an anti-aging ingredient.
Exactly.
So, but again, I know we don't want to put on 12 products and it takes us half an hour and we have to wait in between every single one. But I really do feel that sunscreen in and of itself is its own category, just like a cleanser is.
That's great. So for the next 18 months, it's a parcel shield, right? That's
Parcel
what it's going to
shield.
be called.
Yep.
They have exclusive marketing rights
Yep.
before the other manufacturers can use it.
Yes.
So from now until then is a time for companies to be able to purchase this ingredient, put their formulations together, and start submitting to the FDA, right? Is that the process?
That's the exact process, but here's the
Okay.
thing. Word gets around very quickly. Secrets are terribly kept. So quite a few people already knew that this was coming. And so they were already in the process of getting this from them because the testing for a sunscreen takes a while. And if the first one's coming out before the end of the year, it's already been in process because before it can even go into testing, there's stability. Meaning, it's got to be in the cold for 90 days. It's got to be in the heat for 90 days. Does it start to separate? Because now it's part of an entire formula. So it's a little longer. And people used to ask me all the time at brands, and I'm sure it was the same with you, why does it take so long for you to bring me a new product? And when I asked for a hand cream, it took you 2 years. There's so many things that go in. Does it start to soften over time? Does the colors get darker over time? There's all these things, right? So I'm telling you now, I'm not guaranteeing this and don't slap me down, but there's probably a couple of companies that have already got it. I'm also not saying that there weren't sunscreens here in the US that sneakily had it, but they didn't submit it to the FDA as part of the sunscreen package. They only spoke and put on the drugs facts box the legal ones, right? And companies like the L'Oreals and things, and I'm not saying they doing this or going to, but my assumption would be they're probably already thinking about how they can use what they already have that has this in it. So there's probably already a couple of companies that have it. They can start submitting around August 9th, and the FDA doesn't turn around the very next day and go, check, off you go. So they can start submitting now August 9th, and it will probably be towards the end of the year that the FDA approves them. So it's not that they only starting now since June 9th. Oh my gosh, it's just gotten approved. Let me start my formula. I'm guessing there's a couple that have already been doing that, and they probably a good way into this so that they can be one of the first companies. And my guess is they'll put a sticker on the front that says now containing parcel shield or something to make people aware of, hey, mine has this new thing, and everyone's going to rush out and go, oh my gosh, I need the newest, and oh my gosh, it's the best, and start buying it. There's going to be a lot of marketing, to your point, around this. So be careful of the claims, but also you will know very quickly when these ingredients start showing up in sunscreens.
Because technically they could already have this formulation in Europe and Asia using all of the approved ingredients that the US has. And they've been doing their testing, doing all that. So now all they have to do is submit. And once they submit, it's like way
Hopefully
quicker.
within 6 months. It could be sooner. I don't know the whole process anymore. But so definitely, I mean, we're halfway through the year. It doesn't mean in winter you don't need one. The snow reflection is 100%, right? And during the winter, we go to the sunny places. You're probably going to come to Arizona. And so you need that sunscreen. And yeah, towards the end of the year, we'll definitely see several companies that have been playing around with this ingredient for a while come to fruition.
Think it would
Yeah.
be fun for us, maybe off the air, so
My
we don't get
gosh.
in trouble to start making our bets, right?
Right? And yes, we won't get into trouble, but you and I can probably guess. And so could probably people that are going to be listening in start making those bets. Not that we should gamble, but yes, we're going to Vegas in a couple of weeks, Cindy. We should start the betting process. But yeah,
Exactly.
and I do think also weighing up the differences of which companies has the better formula. And here's the other thing to remember. Because you can use up to 6% doesn't mean you have to. And it doesn't mean that if you have, for argument's sake, I haven't looked at formulas specifically with this in yet, but even if you have 3%, it doesn't mean it's worse than one that has 6%, because it also depends on other sunscreen ingredients you've added to make it this full formula. So don't just look, it has 6%, it must be the best on the market. Not necessarily. So I don't want people to be fooled. The higher the percentage, the better. Look at that SPF because that's approved. Feel it. How does it feel to you? Fragrance, not fragrance? How does it smell for you? Because, some people have a very sensitive nose, even if it's fragrance free. And will it work for you? Will you be compliant?
Yes. You have to like using it so
You
that you're
really do.
consistent. And that's so true with the percentages because like everything, and I always go back to baking because again,
Yes.
I make sourdough. Everything's about percentages, right? So like if you're making chocolate chip cookies, eggs make it nice and fluffy and soft.
Correct.
But you can't just double the eggs to say, oh, I want it extra fluffy. Like it's not going to turn out. It's the perfect ratio of everything. And so many times in aesthetics or in beauty, marketing highlights percentages. And we all think that the higher the active ingredient is, that the better the product is. And I think for many of us who've been in this industry, we know that that's not true, right?
You did a YouTube on that,
You
Cindy.
did. Yes.
What's the obsession with percentage? Now, I'm not saying again that 0.5 is great, but look at what else is there, right? Because it has to blend with the rest of the product. And because it's such a nice ingredient, it does work quite nicely with others within the formula. But are you still adding the zinc? Are you adding avobenzone? What else are you adding to give it the above SPF 50, right? So that's going to be really interesting. So don't just be fooled by what's on that drug facts and, oh, this is the highest, it is the best. It really is about how that entire formula works, how it feels on your skin, how your skin responds to it, and what is that SPF for the burning. And then now, even though the FDA hasn't approved it, there's that PA rating that measures the UVA, which is huge and was started in Japan, right? So you get a plus rating, and the max is a 4 plus, which is according to them like the highest rating. So a lot of brands have started adding that PA plus rating. Look at it. It's not approved in the US, but that doesn't mean it's not a good indicator of how good your sunscreen is. And also, if it's tinted. Tinted means that there's that blue light protection in it as well. The AAD did a whole study on that tint because those tinted minerals give it a nicer feel, gives it a little bit of color so that you can feel like you can wear naked, and it also helps with that high energy visible light or that blue light protection as well. So it's not just these ingredients. To your point, it's that infrared, it's that blue light, it's the pollution, it's the cigarette smoke, it's how that entire formula is going to work. Whether I'll buy some, do not get me wrong, but whether I'll continue to buy it will be seen. And again, the ones that come out this year might be first, doesn't mean they're the best.
Yeah. And also price.
Ugh,
if it's more expensive versus something that's inexpensive doesn't mean it's necessarily better. It's
100%.
really a combination of everything, right?
Because to your point, okay, so I buy something that's astronomically expensive. Am I going to want to reapply it? No, because I'm too worried it's going to be finished quickly and then I have to buy again. So again, it's not just that. It's, can I reapply? Am I going to reapply? Because if I'm out in the sun and I'm hiking for 6 hours, once is not enough, but it costs so much. What's the point then?
Yeah. And what
Mm,
about lip balms? Because I think that's a really missed part in
yeah.
sun care, like SPF lip balms. Do they have this ingredient in a lip balm in Europe and Asia or Asia?
My
Do you
guess
know?
is yes. I haven't looked, to be honest. And it's not written as BEMT on the ingredient listing. It has some astronomically long name that I'm not even going to try. And there's X's and Y's and Q's and exclamations and swear words in there. But it definitely should be in lip products. But I don't know. I'm going to have to do a little research. But if it's safe on babies, lip products work a little differently. I'm licking my lips constantly, right?
Yeah.
So even though it's more photostable and it doesn't get absorbed, is it okay if I'm licking this stuff off my lips every five
Yeah.
seconds? So my dentist gives them out all the time, right? And so they normally around an SPF 15 and some can be quite white. But to your point, yeah, I would definitely be looking, but more often than not, especially in the beginning, I just rub my sunscreen over my lips as well and down my neck, and especially on the sides and the ears because of the driving, and then my arms in the sun, but it's on my hands. So I do it, from this way. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if lip balms, and so brands,
Yeah.
if you're listening, we're looking for some sun protection
That's
lip balms that has this in as well. Yeah.
and scalp.
Love that.
A lot of people
Ugh,
get burned on their
come
men
on.
all the time get
Yes.
burned on their scalp because I mean, even women with lots of hair. I know for myself, if I don't go high enough and I'm out in the sun all
Mhm.
day, if I'm at a golf tournament or whatever with my son, I do get burned on my scalp. It's crazy.
And you have a lot of hair.
I do.
I've lost probably 70% of my hair. We won't speak about that. So I have a lot more gaps,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, it starts to thin. So a scalp version, there's a product, a company you and I know. I think we need to get on a call with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that it's one, not greasy. I think that's the biggest challenge, and especially with organic sunscreens, is many people complain that it's quite greasy. So using BEMT in with zinc and titanium that are mineral that can absorb because they powders, I think that might be a good version for the scalp bald heads, the receding hairlines. I don't want to do that too much. Let me bring that down. But yeah, I think you've got a very valid point. I don't know how many actually mention, hey, use me on your scalp.
Yeah.
There's one. Are we going to start one over here, Cindy?
Right.
Mhm.
Either so I mean, but I think a lot of it though too is convenience, right? And you don't want your scalp to feel greasy, but you want and you're not trying to put on your hair, you're trying to get it down to your scalp. So
With
maybe some kind of roll on
the spray
or
that
like
you
spray that
part the hair.
doesn't
Now you've lost me because even when I have to put my serums on and trying to part the hair is an absolute mess. But
yeah,
I
it's
still
hard.
think that there is something we can do there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
in my opinion, and what I would use, because I have a lot of hair, but
Yeah, but
just to
don't rub
protect
it
it,
in.
is a roll-on,
Yeah.
something that I can
Mhm.
part my hair, I can roll
Yeah.
on. And the reason I thought about this is because I do go to those head spas. And so I watch them. They split my hair, they put oxygen
Same.
in, they put serums, they put everything in, and I just watch the way and they have like rollers that
Yeah.
they use to put
Right.
things in,
So,
so
like the dry bars and those bars where you just go for a blowout should also be thinking about adding some kind of a sunscreen that they applying as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm loving that.
I think that's something it's funny because we've worked at brands, different brands, and we've been in this industry. So we know probably every brand, we know somebody who works there.
Yes.
And one of the hardest parts is for everybody, all of us are the people facing roles and the people developing are kind of in this background, right? In your
Right.
R&D, in their labs. And we're trying to explain to them what the market needs. And there's a huge, I don't know if it's just like,
Disconnect.
yes, we're
Yes.
trying to
Yeah.
explain this is what we need. This is what the market's asking for. And somehow the R&D and the people and the customer wanting to buy it, it's just not. And this is why companies need Matrix because it's all of us who are independent. We don't work for a company. We
No.
can give companies the
Bias.
unbiased, like
Yes.
this is
Yes.
where your company, this is where you fit in the market. This is a strat, this is a gap. This is how you can fill that gap. Yeah, it's
And
pretty fun.
it is. And, I've had this conversation because I know a couple, just like I'm sure you do, couple of those cosmetic scientists and biologists and things. They're very logical. And as you
Yes.
speak to them, and I'm logical, but I work with people all day, so I've had to
Yeah.
kind of blend them. But the minute you start talking, what goes through their brain immediately is, okay, how does it work in a formula? What would my application be? And that application means that I can't do this because, like spray, there's not a lot. So they just, it starts to sound like probably, and I'm guessing here, so much work that they're just like, it's a no from me. Instead of us seeing, because first and foremost, applicator would be the most critical. From that, you'd have to start deciding, is it a gel? Is it a liquid? Do you have to shake it? Is it a cream? Is it a foam? Is there even foams? The powders, I know a lot of companies have powders, but some of us don't apply enough powder and I'm sweaty and I've got sebum. Does it cake? Is it blending? So there's all these things. But yeah, I wish I could take a couple of them and drag them with me in a car to several accounts across several states and just let you, the providers, because from me, it's a mess, but you, the providers, just ask them 10,000 questions and they'll be like, okay, okay. And when they keep hearing the same questions over and over, it might, help. I mean, one of my favorite formulators, I dragged her out with me and she'll call me and go, okay, I'm thinking of making this. What should I do? And I'll throw every question at her so that she can think about it before she even goes into formulation. But yeah, they're in their bubble for a reason. They have to keep it very clean. And I think you and I especially will probably go, but what about this? And, oh, you know what you should do here? And they'll become alcoholics with the two of us involved. But yeah, there is sometimes a little bit of a separation and they want to stick to their lab and we have to deal with the humans that are out there. And we need to get really good sunscreens for my fluffs. I use some of the mineral sunscreens and because it's safe for me and it's safe for babies, I use it on them. But doggies also love the sun. Where's their sunscreen?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
And they do get burned a lot on their nose.
And that's what causes a
That's a
lot of
big,
cancer for them, especially when they're white or they've got little white patches. Their melanin is MIA. I've got little Zeus over here. He's a pumpkin. He's white as snow. And
yeah.
so, yeah, and he does like the sun and he comes in panting. And I'm like, why'd you go out there? But, sunscreen, just to bring it back around, Cindy, and I know you know this, but sunscreen, before I sell someone anything else, I would sell a sunscreen for several reasons. One, hello, anti-aging. Two, hello, no cancer. But three, it helps me understand how dedicated and compliant they're going to be. From that, I can start building the right regimen to know what's going to work for them or not. Start with a sunscreen. If you stop everything today, get a cleanser and a sunscreen, and then we can, add in barrier support and all these other things, and you'll probably have 35 products by the time I'm finished with you. But in reality, if you have to decide between your Jimmy Choo shoes and 3 products, sunscreen before you even look at those Jimmy Choos.
Absolutely. Like cleanser, you got to clean your face
Goodness
because
sake, please.
cleanser and I mean, a retinol and a sunscreen, like I think are like your basic
And an
fundamentals.
antioxidant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An antioxidant. Exactly.
And a
So,
moisturizer and a barrier
yeah.
support.
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. So something that you triggered was on the safety. So there are going to be people who are going to ask about from the EWG, where do they
Yeah.
rank this? And so I just looked it up. They actually said that it's a rating of 1, the lowest hazard score. So
On its own,
yes, on its
but you're
own.
not going to use it on its own.
Yeah.
And so it is, because it's low irritation, it's amazingly photostable in the sun, it blends well, it boosts others, it's safe on babies from 6 months. It should have one of the top ratings. But unfortunately, you don't just slather it straight on the skin. You have to blend it. And that's what I also want to make sure. And yeah, we all have, there's also Yucca and all these others, guys, as great as they are. And I know you don't always think you can trust the brand, trust the study.
And how do people read the studies? I mean, it's like right now people are probably going to
Overnight.
Walmart or Target and because it's summer, everyone's gone on vacation, they're not going to spend $50 on a sunscreen, right? They want a big spray that's 20 bucks. And they're looking at the marketing and it's like, oh, whatever
Yay.
the claim is, like, what should they be looking for?
Well, firstly, I totally get the cost thing, but let me and you speak. And not you personally, you and me being the person speak, and you will buy sunscreen. But yeah, so when I say studies, I mean if they're going to make above and beyond claims, then we need to look. But the fact that the FDA did a study on it should already help a little bit. But it's when these marketing verbiages start to change to make it sound cool, and we all have to do it. And I'm not harping on marketing. They have one of the toughest jobs, because from a piece of paper and from the way it feels, they need you to buy it, right? But when I say studies, I mean, can you understand, is it safe? How long can I use it? How often do I need to reapply? Does it feel nice to me? And I'd really like to discourage perfume in a sunscreen for many reasons, but the highest 2 is it's the highest allergy, and 2, it causes pigmentation on the skin. It reacts with
Mm.
UV, and you don't want that, right? The inflammation and stuff. So it is hard to trust nowadays when the FDA has told you don't make a claim. Don't change structure and function. So especially with an OTC, whatever is on the box is legally allowed to be there. I would start there. And if it is safe, and especially an ingredient like this, I would go to the FDA's site for truthful things. We all have our own interpretation of something. I explained it in a way that someone else might not. We'll get to the same message in the end, don't get me wrong, because I'm going to keep it really clean. But someone might make it sound a little more exciting than someone else. And so the person that made it more exciting might be saying something that's not so true. So I would always go back to the FDA site and also the Skin Cancer Awareness site, because they will also tell you safety and efficacy, and everything else is a perspective of it. Look at, yes, the yuccas and the EWGs and stuff, but they also have their own testing and toxicity and stuff. But that toxicity test might have been oral or at a higher percentage, not part of a formula. Those toxicities and your ingredients that you're just reading is on that one ingredient in its purest form at its highest concentration, and sometimes orally. So it's all about that perspective. So I would personally check the FDA site, is it safe? And check the Skin Cancer Awareness site, because again, for them, not what is skin cancer approved, meaning the sticker, because that may or may not be right, but it's the true facts on the site is where I would go and look, and don't think because it says SPF 100 that it's safer for you either. What then happens is you go, oh, it's 100, so I can half the amount and I can stay out longer.
No,
But that's
absolutely
what
not.
happens, right?
No.
Because I feel comfortable. Wow, it's higher, so it protects me more, so I can stay out longer. It's not true. So
Yeah.
only trust the fact that it says SPF 50 plus because that's Europe. And at a 50, your Langerhans, which is your immune system, is protected, and all of those things are good. But yeah, it isn't easy because we do want to trust brands. We do want to believe that they don't lie. And it's not that they're lying, but they make it sound a little more exciting, which they have to, than you and I can just say it straight, right? But yeah, that's
Exactly.
what I would do, is check the safety records and check that studies were done correctly on the FDA approved site and on the Skin Cancer Awareness or something similar.
But unfortunately, a majority of people are not going to do that, right? And
But then call
so
me. Mm,
okay,
no.
I know we need to wrap things
Yes.
up. Okay, if you could give one piece of advice to an end consumer, your best friend out there, what would you give them about sun care or sunscreen?
If you only can afford one product, this is it. Apply liberally, not a pea size, as much as your hands can. Rub it in thoroughly. Wait at least 15 to 30 minutes before you go in the sun and reapply as much generously every 2 hours. And you'll thank me later.
That's great. And then your favorite med spa, they are your best friends. What would you recommend to them on how to educate and sell sunscreen in their practice?
Yeah. So it's not just about that UVB, right? That burning, that SPF number. It's going back to what that person's goals are, their lifestyle, and their red flags, and connect that communication to the benefits that's in whatever you're going to give them. It's all about the outcome, not the ingredients themselves. I love ingredients, but the outcome that you can state. Meaning, you mentioned that absorption is a problem. This new ingredient doesn't get absorbed. You mentioned that you felt that these sting and burn. This new ingredient lowers and has a low irritation factor. So then they feel heard. You've given them the benefits of the product, and you've tied it to their goals and the outcome that they want to see.
That's wonderful. And then skincare company, they have existing sunscreen. What advice would you give them now with this new product
Yeah.
or this new ingredient?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Understand what you have right now and what's missing. Is it a low irritation? Is it the elegance factor because the white cast and the mineral sunscreens, as good as they are, were your only options and people thought chemical free was the best? Go back, look at what you have. Is it possible that this new ingredient will be of huge benefit for a percentage of patients, providers, consumers that you're not covering right now, and find a way to add this into a future sunscreen so that you cover your bases with those patients that may or may not have really felt that you were the best. Find a way to make yourself the most used, the most talked about, the most protective sunscreen.
That's beautiful. And that's exactly what companies really should do is like look internally at what they have and make sure they have the best product because so many companies are chasing other companies. It's like, oh, they did really well here. We're missing that product. And then they try to recreate it, but it's like that company did well in that because that's what they focused on. You got to figure out what you're going to do well and who your clients and patients are and
And
what
is
you're
it
missing.
necessary? Yeah. Don't
Exactly.
just face this, oh, it's because it's new, you have to have it. I get the whole, you have to bring out new, you have to be cutting edge. But Is it necessary? Is it going to be advantageous for you to reformulate? Because that costs, so does the stability, so does all these things, and it might be. So figure that part out. And one general thing for a provider, for anyone and brands, don't call someone else's baby ugly. Focus on what you can do and what's your unique point. Don't go, well, they use 10%, we have 15. Well, they use this. Ours is better.
Yeah.
You just look bad. Focus on, tell me what you want. Here's why mine is going to be exactly what you want.
And stop chasing what other people are doing, right? Yeah. That's wonderful. I think, you've been working with a lot of companies lately. And so that's something that you specialize in, specifically working with companies to help them kind of understand their products, understand how to position and how to,
Yeah.
educate not only the end consumer, but then the providers or physicians or the
Yes.
med spa owners. So,
Yes.
yeah, if anybody is interested in contacting you, that's your specialty.
It is.
And you'll be able to, do a consult and
Yes.
help their company. Yeah,
Absolutely. And you and I will be at a trade show at the end of the month in Vegas. Come find us and have
exactly.
conversations with us. We would love to find out, what your thoughts are and what you guys are seeing in the industry and how we can help.
I'm
Huh?
excited. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited to attend. It used to be called the IEC, wait, IESCS, wait,
CSC.
CSC. And now it's called the Be Well Show,
Yes,
right?
it includes wellness and things like that. And there's some great classes and just networking and, finding Cindy to help you with your business, hiring people, understanding where your gap is. Cindy is a professional at that. And me to, be sassy and talk with an accent.
I love it. And then you're actually going to be teaching or presenting at a future show. Which one are
At a
you
Be
going to
Well
be at?
show. And in Fort Lauderdale, I'll actually be doing a little Instagram on it later on this week. But yeah, in Fort Lauderdale, Be Well again. So if you're in the Florida area, for goodness sake, come say hi. So watch my Instagram, and it's already Friday. For goodness sake, by the end of next week, there'll be some more information on how you can come, guys. You need to educate yourselves to understand what the industry is doing and watching podcasts like the one Cindy and the Matrix Collective just is offering right here so that you can see whether you need to be doing this. She can help with that and understanding what's out there and why you may or may not need to change the products you have in your office, the brands you're working with, or you as a brand itself, sales reps, educators, all of you. There's so much out there. And your
Yeah.
providers and patients and consumers are reading from TikTok the right or wrong things. And now ChatGPT has surpassed Google in searching things. So, you'd better be aware of what's out there and we can help.
Yeah. And your Instagram is founded by Z.
Yes.
The Z with one Z, not so.
Z with
Okay.
one Z, not an EE. Yes.
Yeah. And when is the Fort Lauderdale Be Well show?
It's at the end of August. I'm speaking on the 30th of August at 12 p.m. But yeah, that show has actually moved locations to Broward County Convention Center. So that one in Florida is at the end of August. Your skin will look great. Maybe not your hair, but you'll get a lot of hydration from the humidity
Yeah.
outside. Yeah, and wear your sunscreen. And in that humidity, you need a water-resistant one. Just
That's
saying.
great. And then you also do educational virtual training seminars for companies. I know you do
Yes.
that for some large chains.
Yes.
And you also write articles. So you're being published soon. So
I'm going to be published
yeah,
soon. Yes.
very
So
exciting.
watch that. And yeah, I can educate accounts, not how to sell. There's quite a few that do that. I help you how to say it so that the selling doesn't feel like selling and it's about the education being that competitive edge. I have a couple of great blogs. I'm just started a YouTube channel. I'm about to record my next one. So yeah, between Cindy and I, let us know what else you want information on. And trust me, Cindy and I love talking. As you can see, we're probably a little late. on this one.
And
We've got
and what is your YouTube name?
also, it's actually called The Education Effect.
Okay, so we'll put the
Yeah.
links into the
Sure.
show notes so
Thank you.
that I can show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we just love doing this. I mean, this is the reason why we're doing this,
Yeah.
and so we love to talk to people and see what they need and help
Yeah.
them grow their business however way we can help.
In this industry as a whole, Cindy, ensuring that all of us in the industry stay up to date and have the right information and the right perspective, because again, we're bombarded with information every single day. How do we interpret it? And trust me, Cindy and I will give you our perspectives very quickly.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Lee.
Thank you so much. Having a great rest of the day, guys.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it.